Hey guys, I'm down here today to do a bit of an inspection, but also it's been getting pretty hot and the hive's doing pretty good, so I'm going to remove their entrance reducer. Um, that's going to leave the opening completely open so that they get more airflow. If the bees get hot, they can actually line up down there and all flap their wings together and take turns to exchange the air out of the hive. So by taking that entrance reducer out, they'll have more room to do that, get better airflow. And since they're doing so well and they're so established, I feel fine taking it out. And it does leave them a little more exposed to robbers or predators or things, but I'm pretty happy to save the hive. I think it's worth it to remove it for the sake of not having them get too hot in there. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Oh, first thing you'll notice is I didn't make a video of it when I came out to do it, but I put the feeder on top here, the hive top feeder. I'll show that to you guys when I open it up. Basically, it's just it's like two sides it's made out of plastic with two sides and a sort of a riser in the middle of it with some holes in it, and it's covered in screen. So the idea is the bees can fly up through that center of it and come out those holes and climb down the screen to safely drink sugar water. You don't have to worry about them drowning nearly as much, and you can have a much bigger supply of sugar water out here for them to use. So I'll go ahead and see how much they've been using it, see how they're doing. Check for any dead bees, of course, make sure none of them are drowning in there. And that's going to be, I don't know how much longer I'm going to leave it on there. Most places that I see say leave the feeder on until the bees stop taking the sugar water. So if I see them up here taking it, I'll leave it on for a while. But I'll just kind of play that by ear for right now. There are lots and lots of flowers starting to come up, so hopefully they'll be less dependent on the sugar water. And I'm also going to be checking their progress on filling out those frames in the bottom. They last time I think they're only at about 5 frames last time I checked. So we've still got some room for growth before it comes time to start adding anything. But I still haven't seen any capped honey yet. We had capped brood last time I was here. So that's nice that I think that's about the 9-day mark or so when they cap the brood. So it'll be interesting to see how that's progressing, how many of them are capped, how much more that queen's laying and producing. It'll be cool to see. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get this open and check it out. Okay, so they're still definitely using a lot of the sugar water. They're going pretty heavy on that stuff. That's a good sign. I'm seeing 1 or 2 dead bees in here, nothing too much. I think that's because the screen isn't really pinched down on the sides very well here. But I mean, 1 or 2, that's no big deal. That's a good, perfectly acceptable amount. Obviously I'd like to see it be 0, but I'm okay with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and give these ladies some smoke and see if I can get them to go down into the hive, get them out of this divider here. And I'll get you guys a shot of how this thing looks later on here. Well, it's somewhat working. Some of them have gone down. Definitely not all of them. I'm kind of nervous about taking it off with that many bees in there. I don't know exactly how that's going to go. I think if I go ahead and set them over here where they can quickly and easily get back into the hive, that'll probably be a good way of going about it. That's assuming they even leave this area. Now there's a whole bunch of pollen up here. I don't know, I mean, you can see how heavy they're going on this pollen patty. They're definitely using that. Compared to what it was last time I checked it, they have done a lot of work on that thing, taking it all apart. But there's all this just kind of crumbs of it up here. I don't know if that's stuff that they're just not using, if they don't think it's worth taking in or what. But I'll get some smoke on these ladies and see if I can get them to go inside. Of course, most of them are just taking off. I can see chunks of this wax paper from this pollen patty all over the place here. I think what I'll do is just try and take it out and then brush them off this inside cover. Yeah. Don't like me messing with their pollen. This always seems to be the time when they get the most riled up, is when I'm taking off the inside cover. And I don't know if it's because I'm interacting with them more than at other times. And I can see here where they had that burr comb up under the inside cover before. It's almost completely gone. They come in and they clean that wax off and they repurpose it back inside the hive, which is really cool. Come on, ladies. Calm down. Trying to drive them down into the hive here, and you can see it's definitely cleared out a lot. A lot of them have gone down inside. I'll see this queen excluder's really stuck down. Now they're really doing a lot more of that propolis. Okay, I've kind of got I can see some comb. They're kind of building out the side here. I think I left a little bit too big of a gap between these two frames. Looks like they're working on their 6th frame now. There's 4 down here that don't seem to have any growth on them. I'll pull one of those out real quick and use that to create a gap here. Yeah, so there's a few bees on here, but there's no new comb. So they definitely don't seem to be using this, which is perfectly fine. I wouldn't expect them to be going too crazy yet. They haven't even had their first brood hatch yet, so this is all still just the original bees I got in that package. There's nothing on that one. I can set it aside. I can see a lot more of this propolis all over the place. Okay, we've got some new comb going in on this frame. Looks like it's full of nectar, sugar water. They're eating pretty heavy on it right now. As much sugar water as they've been taking, I figured they'd have this frame finished out by now. But again, I'm perfectly happy with their progress so far. Okay. You know, this frame's got a bit more weight to it. A lot more bees on it. A lot of sugar water. They're storing the crap out of that sugar water. And I don't know how to identify the difference between nectar and sugar water here. But this definitely all looks like sugar water. Which is good, that's what it's there for. They need to take it and use it for energy. Okay, so there's some capped, it looks like capped brood in there, I'm guessing. That's interesting, just a couple of pieces of capped brood in the middle of that sugar water. Doesn't look like honey. It might be honey, but I don't think it's honey. Okay, this is that one with that bit of comb coming off the side. Holy cow. Okay, so that is all capped brood. I wouldn't be surprised if the queen's on here somewhere. Not seeing her yet. But I'll try and show you guys this side where, I don't know how we can see that, but you can see it's kind of elevated, it's raised up along here. They're building it out. I'll show you all this capped brood. That's all brood there's larvae intermixed in there. I don't see any more eggs, but there's a bunch of larvae in there still, and then the capped brood. And that's all, like I said, they cap it around day 9, I think, once it hits larval stage. Okay, so on this side, there's pollen and there's sugar water, but it looks mostly empty. Okay, let's go ahead and get them back in the hive here. Okay, a bunch more pollen on this one. We've got eggs and larvae. Very young. This is freshly laid. Looking for the queen again. Not seeing her yet. Oh, and then just a bunch of capped brood again. So much brood. That is awesome though. That's exactly what we want to see. Queen's doing, oh, and it's going to be hard for me to get it to show up in the camera, but I can see a few in here that are drones. And you can tell the difference because drone cells are a little bit deeper. The top of it kind of comes up higher above the rest. Okay, no sign of the queen. Probably looked right past her. That one back in there. It's incredible to me how beautiful this is. They build it so neat and organized. They all have jobs. They're all on a mission constantly, and it's so uniform and neat, and it's fantastic. I'm in awe every time I look in here. Excuse me, ladies. Okay, so we got some pollen and eggs and some small larvae. So that queen's definitely been busy. Boy, she's been laying eggs all over the place. And I still don't see her. Some big old drones in there though. Big drones. Okay, this side is packed with pollen. Bunch of pollen. We've got some sugar water around the outsides. And again, I'm just looking for the queen right now, trying to find her. I was getting pretty good at spotting her, but I haven't seen her yet today. Or I thought I was getting good at spotting her. Okay, last frame with anything on it here. Sorry, ladies. Again, a bunch of pollen on this one, a bunch of sugar water. Still don't see the queen. I probably missed her. And then they're just building comb on the other side here. Not a lot going on. Still, it's fantastic though. Just watch them all work. I could sit here and do this forever if I wasn't worried about leaving them exposed for too long. Okay. So we'll get this back down inside here. These push back together. Trying to go real slow so I can avoid hurting any of them if possible. You know, give them time to get out of the way. Now this is that one with that comb that's kind of getting crazy on the side, so I want to try and get a little bit tighter if I can. There's a couple of them, it's called festooning, where they kind of like hang off each other. There's a couple of them doing that down in here, and I don't know if that's just because I moved the frames on them or what. Okay, so we got the original, oh no, one more. So I've got that original gap back open here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see if I can use my hive tool and push that entrance reducer out a little bit. I don't want to get in front of the hive too much. They really don't like that. I'm just going to see if I can. There we go. Push it out a little bit. They're still trying to use the little entrance there. Let me give them a second to readjust here and then go ahead and take that out of there. Okay. There we go. Yep, so the entrance reducer is out. You can see, I don't know if it'll show up on video here, but that's the entrance they were using. There's a very distinct yellow tinge all the way around it. And that's probably from when they're coming in, all that pollen that's all over them is rubbing off on there. That's really cool. And then there's some propolis and stuff on there. Oh, I think I knocked it off. Some little stuff on there. Pretty cool. Okay, we've had them open long enough. I'm going to get this frame back in. Make sure I didn't pick up anything on there. There's definitely propolis all over the place. Queen excluder back on. Always get a few of them pinched in there when I put this back on. Come on, ladies, get out of there. There we go, almost. There we go. Okay, inside cover back on. Good job, ladies. Pollen patty back in place. Now this hive top feeder. And I can see I probably left this out just a little bit too long. Just a couple of bees have actually landed in the top of it. And normally, the way this cover goes on, they can't get up inside here. Let me just see if I can help her out of there real quick. I don't want her to get trapped up in the top here. There you go, little miss. Come on, get out of here. Okay, looks like it's clear now. Go ahead and get these ladies out of here. Come on, I know. Get this cover back on. Okay, get it closed back up and we're good to go here. Again, great inspection, everything's looking fantastic. I'm so happy to see the queens still laying eggs. We got a bunch of cat brood that's coming along and a bunch of brand new eggs and larvae. And like I said, they're storing every bit of that sugar water they can. A lot of pollen in there. It's looking great. I'll probably give them a bit more time before my next inspection. I've been inspecting them quite a bit, and I need to back off a little bit. But it's really hard to do. I love coming out here and seeing them and looking at it. But I'll probably back off a little bit, give them, since they're only on like frame 6, probably give them a week or two before I come back. Give them some time to fill all that out, and I need to do the math and see when that first brood is supposed to be hatching, or approximately when they should be hatching, and so I can be ready for sort of an explosion of growth after that once they have a lot more bees in there. Okay, I'm gonna go and get them locked up. Oh, update on my waterer. They were not using it, that I could tell. I kept going over there and I never saw any bees in it. So when I put the new hive top feeder on, I took the old feeder that still had a little bit of sugar water left in it, and I put it in there too. And that got them right in there. Now, that old feeder's still in there. They're still getting a little bit of residue off it, but it's pretty much dry. But there's definitely bees in that water. I can tell they've drank down quite a bit of water. It looks like that 1 gallon water is going to last quite a while. But again, I need to keep an eye on it, because once their population grows, I don't know how much faster they'll go through it. But as of right now, in I think about a week and a half, I don't think they've even gotten a quarter of it down so far. So I'm so happy they found it and they started using it. I have seen a wasp or two in there, but I didn't see any real problem with it. As long as the wasps don't, follow the bees back here and find out where their hive is or something like that. I don't know how much of a deal that is. That's part of why I left the water a little ways away from the hive instead of right next to it. But yeah, they're using it. It's working great. I haven't seen any signs of anything else messing with it. So I think we're good to go. All right, I'm going to get them closed up here and head on out. Thanks for watching, guys.